Tyrus is the really tall and big guy on the TV show Gutfeld. But did you know that he used to work as a professional wrestler? Yes. He used to fight in wrestling rings and now he talks and jokes on one of the most popular late-night TV shows in the world. For someone as big as Tyrus, he has strong views, which makes him a great choice for the show. But here's the thing. Tyrus knows a lot of people and is often on TV, but he likes to keep his personal life pretty quiet. He usually doesn't talk about his family or love life, but today he is. We'll finally learn about the beautiful woman who won his heart and married him today. What is her name? How does she seem? How did she meet this famous WWE wrestler? Find out why she's the right match for a man like Tyrus under the cut. Also, let's find out what Tyrus did before he became famous. He was born on February 21, 1973. He was born in the city of Boston in the state of Massachusetts. His real name is George Timothy Murdoch Jr. Life was really hard and tough for him when he was growing up. Tyrus has two different races in his family. His mom was one race and his dad was another. Murdoch and his brother were not wanted or welcome at their mother's house. Why? Their mom didn't like that they were partly black, so they were sent away. Think about how painful and sad that must have been. After some time, they were finally able to live together as a family. But this terrible event left a deep mark on the heart and mind of young Murdoch. It made him feel so bad about himself that he couldn't stop thinking about how to change his skin color. He wished he were different so that people would like him. You can tell right away that Tyrus is a big, strong guy just by looking at him. It's not a surprise that Murdoch played football for the Lopers, his high school team, when he went to college. He went to the University of Nebraska at Kearney and played football there. He also had big plans to become a teacher in the future. He wanted to help kids learn in school as a job. Things turned out differently, though, because of a terrible event. Because Murdoch was so sick, he had to have surgery right away to remove his appendix. You have a small part in your belly called an appendix. Sometimes it gets infected and needs to be taken out. Something went wrong with the surgery. The doctors cut some important nerve ends in his leg by accident. Nerves help you feel things and move. They are like tiny lines in your body. Murdoch could no longer play football because of this mistake that was made during surgery. Even worse, he had to walk with a limp after that. He could no longer walk properly because he had a limp. There was a problem with one leg. He didn't even get to play football for long. And his dream of becoming a professional football player was dashed. It was around the year 2000, and Murdoch was about 27 years old. He chose to try something different. He learnt about the exciting world of professional wrestling. He looked great in this because he was big and strong. In 2006, he signed a deal with World Wrestling Entertainment, or WWE, which is what wrestlers have to do. The biggest and most well-known wrestling company in the world is this one. It's called Deep South Wrestling, or DSW, and WWE hired him to work there. Wrestlers to be come here to train and learn before they go on the big TV shows. Murdoch made his first wrestling figure while he was at DSW. He chose the name Jirila and behaved like a rough-and-tumble neighborhood bad guy. He kept wrestling and working at DSW under this name until 2008, when WWE said they were done with him and broke his contract. Murdoch chose to take a break from wrestling after WWE let him go. There was a break for about 2 years. For some reason, Murdoch chose to start wrestling again in January 2010. He signed another deal with WWE, the business that had fired him before. He chose to make a new wrestling figure with a new name this time, though. He picked the name Brodus Clay. This name is a smart play on words from the real name of the famous rapper Snoop Dogg. Enjoy this interesting fact. Hey, did you know that Murdoch used to be Snoop Dogg's bodyguard? A bodyguard is someone who looks out for and keeps important people safe. Also, Snoop Dogg's real name is Calvin Cortazar Broadus Jr. You got it? Brodus Clay sounds a lot like Brodus. Now, let's go back to Murdoch's wrestling story. He joined WWE again and was put on a TV show called NXT. It was the 4th season of this show, which was like a fight where new wrestlers could show what they could do. To be exact, Murdoch's first time in the wrestling ring was in December of that year, 2010. He worked with Ted DiBiase, another wrestler, to beat Byron Saxton. It was a good start. However, Murdoch came in second place in the season finale, which was the very last show of the season. In the end, he lost to a fighter named Curtis Axel. After that, Murdoch kept using the name of his character, Brodus Clay. He had a new job in WWE this time, though. He was hired to protect another fighter named Alberto Del Rio. Murdoch would stand next to Del Rio and look really big and scary to keep other fighters away from him. After that, something fun and different took place in 2012. Murdoch chose to make a whole new wrestling character. He stopped being Brodus Clay, the serious bodyguard, and made up a whole new persona called the Funkasaurus. This was his most famous and well-liked WWE character ever. The Funkasaurus was, as its name suggests, a happy, fun-loving fighter who liked to dance to funk music. He wasn't mean or scary, instead, he was funny and nice. People would watch him dance and have a great time, and they loved it. During the show, he even had his own backup dancers. In the wrestling ring, they would dance and move with him. They were known as the Funkadactyls. Every time he came out, it was like a party. It took Murdoch about 2 years to stop drawing this fun Funkasaurus figure. A lot of people liked watching him, and wrestling fans, especially kids who thought he was funny and cool, loved him. But in 2014, after 2 years as the Funkasaurus, Murdoch thought it was time to end this character. In June 2014, WWE let him out of his deal again. Everyone thought that his time with WWE was over. If you thought Murdoch was done with wrestling that year, you were wrong. He wasn't even close. Murdoch's first match was with a different wrestling company called Total Nonstop Action Wrestling in the same year, 2014. The real name of the show these days is Impact Wrestling, but most people just call it TNA Wrestling. To get rid of his Funkasaurus character, Murdoch dropped it when he joined this new wrestling business. No more moving and having fun. He changed his name to Tyrus and started wrestling instead. This is the name most people today know him by. Under the name Tyrus, he began to work with and help another fighter whose name was Ethan Carter III, but everyone just called him EC3. They teamed up and worked together in events. Tyrus formed a number of partnerships and agreements with other wrestlers over the next few years. He would work with one person some of the time and another person other of the time. A fixer for hire is what he did for a living. Other wrestlers would pay him to help them win fights or deal with problems. Tyrus got back into wrestling for TNA and Sham Impact. Until 2018, when he finally made up his mind to leave that company too. The last few years of Murdoch's wrestling career were the end of his story. This is like the last part of a story. He would be done with fighting for good in these years. He really did a lot of great things in the last 2 years, so you could say he left with a bang. Murdoch joined yet another wrestling company in 2021. It was called the National Wrestling Alliance, or NWA for short. This is one of the oldest wrestling groups in the United States. It has a long and important past. Tyrus quickly became one of the strongest and most dominant fighters in the NWA after joining. He was very good at winning games. Soon after, in August of that same year, 2021, he won his first NWA crown. It was him who won the NWA World Television Champion title. You get to wear a special belt that says champion when you're the winner. Since Tyrus was the TV champion, he had to protect his title. That means other fighters would try to beat him and take away his title. But Tyrus was able to protect his title and keep it more than once. Every person who tried to take it from him, he beat. After some time, Tyrus chose to go after the world title, which was an even bigger prize. The company's most important title is this one. He used something called the Lucky 7 rule to give up his TV title on his own. And that meant he gave up the TV title so he could focus on getting the bigger World Heavyweight Championship. In 2022, the next year, Tyrus made history. He became NWA World Heavyweight Champion. This took place at an event called NWA Hard Times 3 in November 2022. To win the title, he beat 2 other wrestlers called Trevor Murdoch and Matt Cardona. This was Murdoch's main title and, more importantly, his first world championship ever. He had finally reached the top after all those years of wrestling. And win the world title. This was the most important thing he had ever done in his fighting career. Tyrus kept the World Heavyweight Championship and did a good job of protecting it for a while. But he wasn't always the winner. Tyrus lost his title to EC3 at the 75th anniversary show in August 2023. This was a very important event. Do you remember EC3? That was Ethan Carter III, who was Tyrus's partner and friend when he first joined TNA Wrestling many years ago. They were now fighting with each other. It wasn't like any other wrestling match. A bull rope match was the name of this type of match. There was a very important rule that went along with this match, which made it even more special and important. A condition is the word for this rule. The rules for this match were very strict. If Tyrus lost this match, he would have to stop wrestling for good. He would have to quit wrestling for good and never go back to the ring again. That's exactly what took place. Since Tyrus lost to EC3, he had to keep his word. After many years of competitive wrestling, this match was the last one for him. However, Tyrus was a gentleman even though he lost and had to quit. He said goodbye to everyone at the end of the game. During those years, he thanked both his family and his friends for being there for him and cheering him on. It was a moving and emotional moment. Tyrus became popular through wrestling, which was a very important part of his life. A lot of people knew who he was because of it. And this fame made a very important person pay attention. Greg Gutfeld. Greg Gutfeld is a TV host who has his own show on Fox News. His late-night talk show is called The Greg Gutfeld Show, and they talk about news and current events. Instead, Greg Gutfeld chose to have the former professional wrestler Tyrus appear as a guest commentator on his show in November 2016. This was both funny and exciting. Someone who gives their thoughts and ideas about different things on TV is called a commentator. It was great to see Tyrus on the show for the first time. People loved having Greg Gutfeld there, as did Greg Gutfeld. He wasn't afraid to say what he thought, was funny, and had interesting ideas. GT made Tyrus an offer because he did such a great job. He asked Tyrus if he would like to be on the show often, maybe once a month. Yes, Tyrus said. When he went on the show, he used his wrestling name, Tyrus, instead of his real name, George Murdoch. Following that, Tyrus's fame and recognition in the TV business began to grow steadily. He became known to more and more people who saw him on TV. Over time, he stopped just showing on Gutfeld's show and began to appear as a guest on many other Fox News Channel shows. Tyrus was seen on TV with Greg Gutfeld more often, which caught people's attention. A lot, really. People started calling Tyrus Gutfeld's huge partner because they worked together so often. When someone is big and tall, they call them massive, which means partner or helper. Tyrus didn't stop there, though. Besides being a regular guest on Gutfeld, that's what the show is now called. Tyrus also began to appear on another Fox News show as a guest. It was called The Daily Briefing, and a woman named Dana Perino was the show. The name Tyrus showed up a lot on Fox News. He was always on different shows. He was in charge of a show called UnPC, which stands for Not Politically Correct. He was even picked to open the show. That means you should be Fox's first show host. A country called Nuf Sayed. Fox Nation is kind of like a streaming service just for Fox News shows. Then, in 2023, Tyrus got another great chance. He was the host of the first episode of Fox News Saturday Night, a brand new show. It was a big deal. The following year, in 2024, Tyrus began having his own new show called Keeping with Tyrus. You can watch this show on a site called Outkick. He finally had his own show with his name on it. Because he was wrestling, presenting on TV shows, traveling, and being on a lot of different shows, Tyrus was always very busy. He was always moving from one thing to another, like a bee. You may be thinking how someone this busy could find time to meet the love of his life and fall in love with her. Anyway, read and watch more to find out the answer. Although Tyrus Murdoch is very big and tall and can look very scary and frightening, his wife Ingrid Rink is nothing like him at all. She's not scary at all and is very slim. But don't be fooled by how pretty she is. She's more than just pretty. She has actually done a lot of good things and been successful. She has done many great things in her life. They were born on April 24, 1981. She was born in the United States of America, just like her husband. During her childhood, Ingrid grew up in a family that was always there for her and encouraged her. Her family encouraged her to be a business. She liked to start businesses and make things to sell, which is a big word for what she did. This part of her was praised by her family. This is why Ingrid has been interested in business since she was very young. She thought about business and how to make money all the time, even when she was a little girl. That's not all, though. Along with her love of sports, Ingrid became very interested in exercise. Being fit means working out, being healthy, and taking care of your body. Her passion for fitness is what sparked and fueled her work path. It made her think about what she would like to do for a living when she grew up. Most kids finish high school, and Ingrid did too. But her story changes here. Some of Ingrid's friends and peers went straight to college after high school, but she chose to do something different. She made the choice not to go to college. She instead chose to go straight into the fitness business and try to make a living there. When she began, Ingrid was very young. She signed up for her first exercise class when she was only 15 years old. That's about 9th or 10th grade for most kids. This event was very important in her life. It was very important and changed everything when something is called pivotal. Taking that exercise class made her want it even more. It made her know for sure that when she grew up she wanted to work in the health and exercise company. The very next year, when Ingrid was only 16, she began running her own fitness lessons. Can you picture being 16 years old and teaching exercise classes? A lot of teens are still in high school, but Ingrid already had a job as an exercise instructor. Beginning to teach exercise classes early helped her a great deal. For the long term, it helped her a lot as she got older to look into other business and career possibilities. Many awards were given to Ingrid over the years because she worked so hard and was so dedicated. The fact that she has these certificates, which are like diplomas, shows that she has trained, learnt, and really knows what she's talking about when it comes to exercise and fitness. When someone is a fitness expert, they really know a lot about fitness. Ingrid has a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge. Huge means she knows a great deal. Her job is to help people become the best versions of themselves they've ever been. Anyone who wants to get fit can get help from her, whether they want to gain muscle to get stronger, lose weight to get healthy, do general fitness training to feel better, or do anything else that has to do with health and exercise. Instead of going to college for 4 years like most people do, Ingrid chose to trust her gut and do what she thought was best. She made the choice to start a business. Fitness was something she loved, so she turned it into a way to make money. Her choice to focus on getting useful information and skills in the real world instead of learning in a classroom set the stage for something truly amazing. She made her own exercise brand, which she called the Rink Routine. It was her business that promoted having a healthy, whole life. It means taking care of your mind and body as a whole. Not just one part. There was a guest spot for Ingrid on the show Ask Dr. Drew in 2022. She talked about what the Rink Routine meant during this appearance. She said it's all about your daily habits, the things you do every day. What you do every day and what you practice is what you get out of life, the exercise expert said. This quote really shows how disciplined she is and how much she wants to live a healthy life. Really thinks that if you do daily good things, you will be healthy for life. Something big did happen last year, though. Through her Instagram page, Ingrid told everyone that she no longer wanted to call her business the Rink Routine. Instagram is a social media app where you can share photos. She said out loud that she didn't ever want to have the name Rink attached to her again. She was honest when she said she couldn't keep building a business with a name she hated. When she didn't like the name of something she had to work on every day, it was too hard, so she took some time away from her business to think. That means to give what you're going to do real thought. After giving it some thought, Ingrid finally decided that she missed teaching fitness lessons. Getting people to work out and planning and making training routines. That part of her job made her happy. So, she asked the people who follow her on Instagram to help her think of new names for her brand. It was her idea to change the name to something she liked and felt good about. Now, it shouldn't be a surprise that Ingrid chose to work in sports, right? She had always been interested in the business, after all. She loved it from the beginning and has always been interested in fitness and health. But here's something that may shock you. Beginning and making her other business came from a very personal reason. A reason that was very important to her and close to her heart. Sensible Meals is the name of Ingrid's other popular business. This is the company she runs to make meals. When you meal prep, you plan and make food ahead of time for other people. People can learn more about diet, the food they eat, and how much food they eat through this company. How much they eat, this company has been around for more than 10 years. In other words, more than 10 years ago. Why did Ingrid start this company to make meals? In fact, the reason is very sweet and makes me cry. Rock is her son from a marriage Ingrid had before she met Tyrus. That's why she started Sensible Meals. Rock was told he had type 1 diabetes when he was young. If you have diabetes, your body has trouble keeping the sugar level in your blood under control. Those who have type 1 diabetes must be very careful about what they eat and how much they eat. They need to pay close attention to what they eat. All the time. This whole story was told by Ingrid to a magazine called Sophisticated Woman in the year 2018 by Dissidentious. She said that because Rock, her son, had diabetes, she started making him food with specific serving sizes. They made sure that each meal had just the right amount of food, no more or less than that. Friends of hers saw how well these special meals she was making for her son Rock turned out. They saw how healthy he was getting and how well he was managing his diabetes. They naturally wanted to try these healthy foods too. For the second time, they asked Ingrid if she could make Rock's food for them too. That's how the business really took off and began to grow. Her friends started getting healthy meals that were just the right amount for them. After hearing that, more people were eager to try them. She had a real business before she knew it. Trying things out and seeing what works is always a part of running a business. That means you try things, and some of them work and some don't. And you figure out what went wrong. This is something that Ingrid also went through. She didn't always do things right the first time. Things were new to her, so she had to learn as she went. Even though she made mistakes and failed, that didn't stop her from always trying to improve her food and business. Ingrid told the truth in an interview, "I didn't always have the right tools, but I have a genuine passion and love for what I do and the people I work with." Genuine is the same thing as real. In other words, her love for her job helped her keep going even when she didn't have all the tools or information she needed. She also said, "This shows that Ingrid wants to be a good mother and role model for her kids. She wants them to know that you can reach your goals if you work hard and love what you do." We now know about Ingrid Rink, who is now married and her name is Ingrid Murdoch. Let's talk about how she feels about Tyrus. Murdoch, Tyrus, and his wife Ingrid are all very private people, even though they are all well known. When someone is private, it means they don't like to talk about their private lives on TV or social media. When someone is a public person, a lot of people know about them. We do know this, though. Photographs and posts on social media make it look like the pair had been together since at least 2014. They've been together for a very long time. In 2020, Tyrus thought it was time to ask her to marry him. They had been together for about 6 years at that point. A fun way to say that he asked Ingrid to marry him is pop the question. When Tyrus told everyone on social media that they were getting married, he sang praises for his wife. He told her a lot of great things, which is what it means to praise. He wrote that she really does deserve everything that comes her way. "You said some very sweet and lovely things there. This shows how much he loves and cares for her." Ingrid was given a beautiful emerald engagement ring by Tyrus when he asked her to marry him. Emeralds are a type of valuable stone that is green. They are not the same as diamond rings that most people get. Plus, this made it extra rare and one of a kind. But even though they got engaged in 2020, they didn't get married until 2021. Tied the knot is a funny way to say they got married. In January 2024, they were married for real. The formal records from the Clark County Clerk say that's the office that keeps track of marriages. That same day, January 6, 2024, they got married and filed their marriage license. Here's an interesting thing. Even though they didn't get married until 2024, Tyrus had been calling Ingrid his wife for a very long time. That's what some couples do. They feel married in their hearts even though they haven't had the ceremony or filled out the papers yet. The couple really backs up each other's businesses. In other words, they support and help each other. They go to different events together to help each other and be there for each other. One example is that Tyrus was given a very special title in 2022. A group in New Orleans called the Crew of Orpheus gave him the title of King of Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is a big, well-known party that happens every year in New Orleans. Also, being called king is a huge honor. In that moment, who did you think was by his side? Ingrid Murdoch is his wife. She stood by his side during this important event, cheering him on and sharing in his happiness. Fans have also seen them together at shows and other events. A lot of people saw them at a New Orleans Smashing Pumpkins show. A well-known rock band called the Smashing Pumpkins played live, and they all went together. She shared a post on her Instagram account right after the show. She wrote that at the show, her husband met a lot of fans. She was pleased with the meeting and pleased that Tyrus's friends were able to talk to and meet him. She did say something, though, that was a little sad. With all of these fan contacts, it's hard for them to spend time together as a couple on dates and in other ways. Being famous makes it hard to just go out with your partner as a normal pair. Everyone wants to talk to you and take pictures with you. Tyrus's 2022 book trip also had Ingrid with him, which means she went with him. Tyrus put together a book. Just Tyrus is the name of the book. A memoir is a book in which the author writes about their own life. His wife Ingrid went with him to different places to promote and sign copies of his book. Tyrus did a comedy tour the same year. True, he does more than just wrestling in TV. He also does stand-up comedy. This time, Ingrid went with him to all of his comedy shows as part of his tour, which was also called Just Tyrus. Also, Ingrid Murdoch has stuck to their marriage vows, especially the part that says, through thick and thin. This means being with your partner through good times and bad. When things go well and when they don't. There was a really tough time that put this promise to the test. In the year 2019, something very bad took place. Tyrus was being sued for sexual abuse. Someone sues you when they say you did something wrong and want to go to court. Britt McHenry, who used to be Tyrus' co-host on a Fox News show, filed the case. Co-host means that they both ran the show. Tyrus was accused by Britt of sending her several sexy texts. It was said that this happened, but it hasn't been proven yet. To be lewd means to be sexual or obscene. As soon as this story broke, Fox News said something. They said they had looked into what happened. That means they looked into what took place and tried to figure out what was true. They said they fixed it on Fox News. In other words, they believed they had fixed the issue. But after that, more news came in. These stories say that Britt McHenry officially filed a lawsuit on December 10, 2019. This case was filed against Tyrus, Murdoch, and Fox News as a whole. It was a case for 2 whole years. After that, it was finally thrown out with a secret settlement. When a case is dismissed, it means that it is over. Settlement that wasn't made public means that Tyrus, McHenry, and Fox News came to an understanding. The agreement and how much money may have changed hands were agreed upon, but they chose to keep the facts secret. It's interesting that Britt McHenry said she lost the phone that had all the sexy texts that Murdoch was said to have sent her. That means there was no real proof to present in court. Everything that happened had a direct effect on Murdoch's family. Not good at all. It made them feel a lot of pain, stress, and fear. Everyone in the family was having a really hard time. And in December 2022, Tyrus's wife, Ingrid, spoke out about the whole thing for the first time in public. She wanted to talk about how this had made their family feel. She wrote, "The pain my family has been through this past year is too much to even share." Trauma is a word for really bad, upsetting events that hurt people emotionally for a long time. But then she said something very sweet and lovely. But one thing that did happen was that my husband became a better family leader. She said that Tyrus would send her on trips with their daughter whenever he saw her fading, which meant whenever she was weak, sad, or losing hope. And heal yourself magically. He wanted her to get over all the pain and stress and feel better. This shows that Tyrus tried to help his wife get through this very hard time by taking care of her. If you think that Ingrid Murdoch is very busy with her job, her husband, and her many children, just wait. You won't believe all the other things she's responsible for at home. Remember how we said earlier that Tyrus had been calling his partner wife for a long time, even before they were married? Besides that, he gave their house a unique name. Ingrid is the queen of Tyrus's small wild kingdom, and he likes to call their house his Tyrannosaurus Zoo. Do you get it? His name, Tyrus, is used as a play on words. Right now, you might think that Tyrus, the big guy, only has a dog or a cat as a pet. Thought not. Not even close. The former WWE fighter has a lot of animals at home, which they are very proud of. And we're not talking about cute pets like cats and dogs. We're talking about animals from other places. Aliens are strange animals that aren't usually kept as pets. In their home, there are tanks with unusual fish swimming in them. There were snakes moving slowly, lizards climbing on trees, turtles moving slowly in their cages, and even chameleons. The cool lizards that can change colors are called chameleons. They have what seems like a zoo in their own home. On TV, they talked about their home zoo, and Ingrid Murdoch told the truth about how she felt about all the animals at first. At first, I didn't like animals or snakes. She said it out loud. She didn't like them, but there's something. Being ready to go the way means she loves Tyrus so much that she would do anything to make him happy. So she changed how she thought and chose to deal with the animals. After that, Ingrid said something funny and interesting. I think it was just that I don't like people too much. She then came to the conclusion that animals are better than some people. That is a funny way to think about it. At first, Ingrid didn't really care about animals, but she didn't just ignore them or refuse to help them either. Instead, she chose to do something herself. That means she did something about it without being asked. She was in charge of taking care of their animals. In a museum, a curator is someone who looks after a room full of things. As the animal manager, Ingrid is in charge of all the pets and making sure they are healthy and happy. They were able to give their pets much better living situations thanks to Ingrid's hard work. That which is significant is big and important. The animals' lives got better and healthy. What changes did she make that were better? For starters, Ingrid read online that some sounds can make animals feel better and even make them want to mate and have kids. So she began playing rain and thunder sounds at night in the animal cages. She hoped this would make the animals want to have kids and add to their zoo family. After working with the animals for a while, Ingrid also learned something else. She thought taking care of them would be very tiring, but it's not that bad. Do you want to know her secret? She made a joke about how boring she is.